welcome to LayBack with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Hello and welcome to a new season of LayBack with Betfair. My name's Nick Foote, your host for today and for Season 4. And joining me, as always, are the two great men, the Prince of Pakenham, the Baron of Betfair himself, Tom Haylock, Reece Goodwin. Reece, how are you, mate? How's the break been?
Yeah, good. Really looking forward to getting stuck into another season. Obviously, we're still in winter, but spring racing's upon us and we've got some pretty handy horses stepping back into action this weekend, so I can't wait to dig into it.
Tommy?
Been good. The last month I've lacked a few winners, but it's amazing how quickly spring has come around. Group 1 Winx Stakes. Incredible. Good day of racing. Look forward to dissecting with you two. And it's good to see you again, guys.
Yeah, great day of racing coming up. Lots to look at. Group 1 racing back, obviously, at Randwick in the form of the Winx Stakes. We've got the PB Lawrence headlining at Caulfield. And being a trial guru yourself, Tommy, will be leaning on you a little bit today because we've got lots of first-up runners. But before we get into all the exciting racing stuff, we've, of course, got to head to the famous LayBin to kick things off. And, Tommy, you're usually pretty good off the long run. What do you got for the LayBin for us today?
I should have done like a 2-monthly review and summary of the last 2 months.
We haven't got that long.
I know. Been pretty quiet. We announced that LayBack was back today. We'll put it on socials. And the equine genius, Liam Clancy, who bobbed up on one episode last week. He got all his mates to chime in on the tweet. Hashtag equine genius. Now, Liam, you lob here, you don't tip a winner, and then suddenly you get called the equine genius by all your mates. Get in the LayBin.
Things do generally in society grow legend or get better with time. It's extraordinary that, within 6 months he's gone from 0 winners to wants to be an equine genius on the show.
So. He did well that episode. There's plenty more of him coming up as well because I'm taking a sabbatical. I'm off for 4 weeks. So.
I look forward to working with Clance then. Sorry to take everything back.
Sorry to throw you on the bus there.
Yeah. Reece, you got something for us today, mate?
Yeah, look, I've been pretty poor in this area last season, so I thought I'd kick off with a bang. Soccer crowds for me. I don't know what it is. I haven't followed soccer a lot, but always seems to be rogue crowds when soccer comes up. Like I saw some vision last night of people trampling other people just to try and get into Federation Square. I've seen plenty of it overseas. Because soccer's obviously very well, known overseas. But the Matildas, they brought the best and the worst out of everyone. And I just couldn't believe what I saw, some of the vision. So soccer crowds can get in the bin for me.
I thought I saw someone in a Reece Goodwin racing puffer jacket setting off a flare in Fed Square, actually.
Well, look, anyone can buy them, so head across to the shop, go for it. Any publicity is good publicity, as I say.
Don't start with that, because Betfair hoodies have been seen on front pages of newspapers.
Have they?
Yeah, it was specific grey hoodie we released a few years ago that was seen in protest. Anyway, I don't want to get into it.
We won't go into it.
Well, I'm on Season 4 and I can't even get one and I'm hosting for Betfair, so that's going good. I'm glad that's working.
I've organised that, actually. You'll get something.
Hey, I'm putting in... This guy's a human LayBin, and that's Piers Morgan, a.k.a. Tiers Morgan. And he's just had he's made an absolute knob of himself throughout the Ashes. That's just undeniable. But last night, obviously, the Matildas, let's be honest, we're not a footballing nation. It's a great story. We're proud of the girls. Huge. Love it. But last night, straight after the England win, this was his tweet.
Couldn't help himself.
Breaking. England's fabulous Lionesses crush Australia's wilting Matildas 3-1 in their own backyard to reach the Women's World Cup final. Sweet revenge for the Johnny Bairstow Ashes run-out debacle. Congrats, ladies. You've made the country proud. If we're not living rent-free in someone's head more than this bloke, I'm not here. So
he's the best.
Get in the bin.
He's a proper clown.
Yeah, he is a clown. Good start, LayBin Season 4.
Good
impressive. Kick-off. Before we do get into the racing and attack the Caulfield card, there are some exciting new things happening on Betfair, Tommy, and you're going to tell us about them.
Yes, spot on. Predictions rating model for thoroughbred and harness racing introduced into the new Betfair app. So check that out. We've had it in greyhounds. We've seen some really good results in that in the past couple of months. Thoroughbreds and harness. So rated prices across all races, basically in thoroughbred and harness. So the good thing about that is footy, you can back, you can lay, and you can trade based on the prices. So they're pretty accurate, and you can trust us because we are on your side. We want our clients to be sustainable in their processes, and we want them to win as well. So check that out on the Betfair app. We've got firmers and drifters as well. So as you know, Betfair is the market. We dictate the market. The firmers are prior to anywhere else, you'll see market trends. Look out for firmers and drifters on the Betfair app as well. We've also got exotics, exactas and quinellas on all thoroughbred races and greyhound meetings on an ongoing basis from Monday. So plenty happening on the Betfair app. Check it all out.
You an exotics punter, Tommy? Will you be diving into that?
The good thing about Betfair's exotics, liquidity might not be strong, but it will grow. But the exotics on totes are so cast at the moment. There's not much money in the pools, so you're getting very low dividends. So hopefully we can get some better prices on Betfair.
Beautiful. Hey, let's head to Caulfield, boys. Back there, headlined obviously by the Group 2 PB Lawrence Stakes. It's good for the rails +9. It's a 10-race card. Actually, before we hop into that, I might ask you, Reece, these 10-race cards in Melbourne, what does it mean for someone with a smaller stable like yourself?
Well, the 10 race, the extra 10th race is great for me, for someone like me. There's a couple of criterias, no more than 50 runners and no more than 15 winners for one of them and 5 metro winners. So they're perfect for me, and we've been advertising, sending out emails saying that's what we're trying to aim for. Haven't yet had one in one of those races, but we've been planning ahead. So look, plenty of negativity around it, I guess. Some people are for it, most people against it, particularly track managers and stuff like that. But look, it's only a small proportion so far. I heard on radio this morning that comparative to last year, the turnover's not great yet. There's not much difference, but it's only a small sample. But for my stable, it's great. There's an $80,000 race there that's going to cut out all the big boys and hopefully give some opportunities for a smaller stable like mine.
That's huge. And when you do go to town, will you wear the Akubra in town, or will you remain and will you retain the country status?
The Akubra stays.
It stays.
No, I almost sleep with it. I'm only not allowed to wear it on the show.
That's good. Hard hitters here on LayBack. Tommy, good 4 rail +9. What does that mean?
Yeah, wind slight westerly, so I think the track will actually play pretty well. It's racing well at the moment. It looks in really good order. I think the track will play well. The 10th race, they actually forecast that the additional race, the 10th race, would have more turnover than a whole country meeting, that one race. So from a standpoint of prize money and turnover, it's a great thing. Yep. So hopefully now that the good races are back, we see some more turnover and money into the industry. I think the track will play well. Rail out 9. You look at the rail position out that far and you do think leaders, but wind plays such an important factor at Caulfield, and I think that the wind will be okay. So light breeze.
Just
and
looking at the weather, we've got 1 to 5 today and 3 to 7 tomorrow. You taking that into account much as well?
Yeah, well, so
particularly maybe later in the day.
Good for. I think it'll be rain affected. I like that it's natural. Obviously, they don't have to irrigate, which the track should be pretty even and race pretty well.
And it's all the 24, 48 hours before. Obviously, on the day is always worst case. So the 24 hours before is probably the best thing for it, isn't it?
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's a great day of racing ahead. We saw some genuine talents uncovered last year. Obviously, Giga Kick winning the vein.
Liam Clancy, the Group 1 Oakley Plate winner, Uncommon James, took out the Regal Roller, which we might turn our attention to now. That's race number 6 on the card, the first race we're going to look at. Stakes race, handicap conditions, 1,200 metres. 6 of the 11 runners in the field here, first up. So our resident trial spy, Tommy Haylock, will be able to give us the good oil. In terms of the speed map, tempo looks moderate here for me. Savannah Cloud, likely leader. Boogie Dancer to kick up from 2, be handy. Bandersnatch and Chassis look the others that can press forward, Tom. Yeah, you've nailed that. Interesting race. There's a lot of horses first up throughout the meetings across Sydney and Melbourne. We start off with that Regal Roller, 1,200 metres. I've got Bandersnatch on top. I didn't love his jump out though. I did want to see more from his jump out. He's just got such good form behind him. He carries top weight here. He's first up. He's probably got bigger fish to fry, but he's coming off an all-aged 4th behind Giga Kick and Zaki. That stands out amongst a lot of these. So I've got Bandersnatch right in the mix from a good barrier. The other one is Thunder Beauty, really interesting horse. She's a nice mare. She's coming over from Ireland. She ran second in a Duke of Cambridge at Royal Ascot, if you don't mind, a long time ago. But the trial behind Magic Time went enormous in that trial at Cranbourne. But I think Thunder Beauty's got that X factor. It doesn't take much to come to Australia and beat our horses. They don't have a lot of upside, these. So Thunder Beauty and Bandersnatch, my 2 plays to kick us off.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go with Thunder Beauty too. As you just outlined, there's not a lot of depth to this race. There's a lot of horses that have been around for quite some time, and She certainly brings some interesting form lines. Ben Allen trialled her both times, and I'm sure Benny liked to be riding her, but with the 54, Willow jumps on. Gate 1's probably the little query where she's going to be, but I think off her trial, she showed enough toe that she can be not too far away and should have the right horses in front of her. But look, I don't think she's only going to bring somewhere near what she's got form-wise overseas, and off her trials have both been really good. As you mentioned, the latest behind Magic Time, who has got plenty of ability. So I think an import coming over, we know they do a lot of damage when they have their first runs over here, and I think the boys, the Mar Eustace boys, will probably have bigger targets for this mare. So I think she can dispose of this lot.
Just a couple of points. Inside barrier is going to be interesting where she gets to, and watch the market for her, because obviously Mar Eustace, they generally come for them when they're there to win. Intent's massive this time of year, and we'll talk about that a lot. Is a horse like Thunder Beauty here to win over 1,200 metres or not? The market will probably dictate that.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. Tommy, on with you actually with the topic, Bandersnatch. You touched on that last start in the Group 1 All-Age Stakes. That was nothing short of enormous, that run. 3 to 4 wide the trip, punching the breeze off the most ridiculous tempo set up by Lost and Running. Had every right to fold up and just didn't. He actually stuck and finished on the heels of Zaki and Cascadian, only beaten 3 lengths by Giga Kick. So coming out of that, he runs well first up. Last 2 first up runs, he unfortunately ran into Think About It, who refuses to lose, and I Wish I Win, who goes okay as well. So this is easier, drawn well, puts himself into the race, and tough as nails. So Bandersnatch is the way I'm going to play the Regal Roller. We're all sort of around the mark there with similar thoughts. Good start, fellas. Race 7 now.
Are you laying Detonator Jack? Didn't like it?
Sorry, I am laying Detonator Jack.
Bit rusty.
I'm glad someone's reading the run sheet. the lays usually come late for me. I am laying Detonator Jack. It's an open race, like no doubt in betting. We're talking we've got Bandersnatch 5 on the corpse at the moment. Bandersnatch 5, $6. Thunder Beauty $6. It's Our Time around the mark. Detonator Jack $6.50, opened up $6. He's a good horse, but first up over 1,200 metres in a listed race, please. He SP 350 in the SA Derby over 2,500 metres last year. So this is a 1,200 metre race first up. Now I don't know if he's trying hand in sprinting, but it's lay all day for me. I think he starts closer to 10 than 6. So
he's actually never even ran over 1,200 in his whole career. He kicked off at 14. He's got 2 from 2 first up, but they're both 14s. So and they're at weaker grades.
And I expect the stable will want to see him hitting the line well, but like.
Fascinating setup. And you have a look at his starting price profile. Started $2, $1.65, $1.40 and $1.65 his last 4 runs. Fascinating horse. He might just be there for a spin around and see how you go. So don't mind.
Just interestingly enough, Yendall is on Detonator Jack and Chassis. Chassis, I think, first emergency in a later race. So there'll have to be some decisions made on who actually rides what. If Chassis might come out of this race and might get into the other race, and Yendall will ride probably her in that race too. So that was interesting that Yendall's down for both of them still.
Yeah, thanks for bringing Chris Waller and Craig James McDonald up from last week. The Demons.
Terrific pickup. Race number 7, the Group 3 Quizette Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies over 1,100 metres. Bound for Home won this last year at a big price. SP $31 for Archie Alexander and Declan Bates when they combined. The speed map here, the girl's going to go fast, I think. Skirt the Law, Ulanova, Tis Enough, She's All Shenanigans, Eye for Media and Sicilian. They're going to hum along, Tommy.
Yeah, it looks a lot of speed. The more I look at the race, the more confident I am that Charmstone can get that running behind the really hot tempo and be charging late. And hasn't done a lot wrong. I love the gear change, tongue tie first up, off failing last start when going around a short price. So he's got starting price profile. Obviously, she's a 3-year-old filly now. That was 2-year-old form. So it's always hard to work out how these horses progress. But just the way she trialled, she beat Iron Unstoppable. He goes around on the same day and is undefeated. She put that horse to the sword late in that trial. She does tend to jump out well. The stable tend to have their horses trialling well as well, so I'm wary of that. But I love the tongue tie going on first time, suggesting that she potentially choked down a little bit last start and may have been an excuse when her in short price favourite. I think she can bounce back. I think she gets the right run in behind the speed, and I think she'll finish over the top of them. Ulanova's an interesting horse. Sicilian's got race fitness, and if they don't go as hard as everyone thinks, I wouldn't be surprised if Sicilian gives a good account of herself. She's coming over with Sydney form, Blake Shin on board, wide barrier, forced to go forward, and will have the intent, whereas some of these might not be here necessarily to win. So she's in the mix. Can make a case for a few of these, but I think Charmstone's the bet.
Beautiful. And you found a bit of value as well.
Yeah,
Reece.
this filly that I didn't mind on debut, and she was actually a drifter on debut. She probably comes through inferior form lines. Axelina, I think that's how they pronounce it. And interestingly enough, I like that Ethan Brownie's come back in really good form. Great to see him back after that terrible fall. He rides 56 here, which is pretty light for him, considering he's only just come back. And he trialled this filly. She's only had the one jump out at Cranbourne. She was given a very quiet time, but poked along the fence and made good ground under no riding. She's probably one that's going to be off the speed and probably want them to run along and then get the right run into it. But I think she's a filly to sort of watch going forward, and I'm happy to spec her at a little price because I think she's progressive enough. We know the Mars stable, they know what they're doing. They probably wouldn't have her here if she just wasn't, a chance in it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her certainly running on, and if she gets things her way, she can certainly run into a hole.
A nice bit of value there. Axelina each way for Reece. Boys, I just can't walk past the price of Show Royale here for Lloyd Kennywell, Lucy Yeomans. Looking around $30 on some corporates. 2 from 2 so far in her career. 1 on debut at Bendigo was $41. Eyeballed and fended off Treasureway, who then went on to win the Group 3 Breeders' Stakes at Morphettville. Show Royale, she then went to the Cinderella Stakes, beat home both She's All Shenanigans and Tis Enough, fair and square. Well, Tis Enough did have some excuses with Shinsaw, but they're both $11 here. She doesn't look flashy, but she puts herself into the race, and she's got a great booking in Mark Zara here, and she looks tough as nails.
She's a real tradesman-like,
yeah,
isn't she?
and it's really hard sometimes, and the data won't line up, and I don't expect the market to gravitate towards her or to come in because I don't think the data will support that.
She's also got a long SP profile.
Yeah.
She's gone around long odds on debut and $10 last start. So
it's hard to quantify a horse that's just tough or tradesman-like, like you said. So I think it's just a really good 1x3 play, Show Royale, who maps. You spoke about the map there as well, Tommy, with your selection. That maps really well and can run a really strong race. So Show Royale for me in the Quizette. Race number 8, the Group 3 Vane Stakes for the 3-year-old colts and geldings over 1,100 metres. Not sure if there's any giga kicks here this year, fellas, but just the 7 boys lining up in this year's edition. 6 present first up. Ouroboros is a last start track winner here over the 1,100. Tempo looks moderate, Tommy. Cracker Rib, Ouroboros likely leaders. Cylinder could find the plum spot in the 1-1 and be mighty hard to beat, but the market certainly suggests that as well.
yeah, I'll let you start here, Reece, because I don't have a strong handle on that.
Yeah, look, it's a really intriguing race. Obviously, only 7 in it. There's some really classy horses in it. I think Cylinder obviously picks himself. He's got the best form lines, but you want to see him come back again and do it. Key booking B Shin. Little Bros, he's done nothing wrong in his first prep, of course. But I'm going to side with She Light at a little bit of a price here. We mentioned the Magic Time trial, and this horse trialled just as good. He was a huge... I don't know how he rated on debut, but he was a mile off them on debut and did a super job to run over the top of them. And then he was backed it up. Sorry, it might have been his second start. No, it was. He's 2 from 2. So it was first start. He was really good there, and then he backed it up with a really solid win up the straight. I think he might have a touch of fitness on his side. He's a horse that didn't have a lot of time off, being back to the trials, and he might just be... these other horses have probably got bigger fish to fry, where I reckon it wouldn't surprise me if Ken Keys is happy to get a group win here on the board for him. So I'm happy to side with him at a price. But yeah, very open race. I'm only having a small sort of play on him, but very intriguing to see how it's going to plan out with a 7-horse field with these colts.
Both starts for She Light have been slow tempos. So he's got a really good turn of foot. He ran the fastest final 200 metres of the day on debut and second fastest of the day at his second career start. I think it is all about Cylinder, but I'm worried about 7 of 7. You said in your map that you can suggest that he can just lob in the 1-1, but I think there might be a bit of competitive riding here, something you don't see very often in Sydney. They might keep him out on a limb, and he might have to get further back than you expect, so that's really interesting. His trial was outstanding.
Was good.
Obviously, he's met Little Bros twice. They met in the Merson Cooper at both their second starts, where Little Bros won. Cylinder was held up, peeled out late and ran second, and then they went to the Slipper where Cylinder was fantastic. He looks to have come back really well. I can't take the price. Cylinder, if it was 210, I'd think about jumping in, but his trial was fantastic. Just the map, first up, bigger fish to fry, not at $1.70, $1.80 for me.
Just on that map, is there stats to suggest that Blake is better off just not worrying about getting cover and just if he's 3 deep, he's 3 deep in a straight line for the majority of it. There's one turn out of the chute, or is it beneficial for him to try and get some cover but concede a lot of ground where they might not go overly fast?
It comes down to intent, doesn't it? Because
is there stats to suggest outside draws are actually okay out of that chute?
Oh, it's
Probably not
it's
off
an
the top of your
easier,
head,
but wind plays a huge
Yeah, okay.
factor as
Yep.
well because you don't want to be running into a headwind.
Yep.
So the wind's probably the biggest factor. If you're coming from a shoot start and you're jumping into a headwind and you don't have cover,
Yeah.
then it is hard. So it's hard for leaders and you can get back and make ground.
It
but as
just
long as
wouldn't
you've got cover.
surprise me with the confidence that Blake's got. He just rides him like the best horse in the race, and
Yeah.
he might find the plum spot anyway, 1-1. But if he's 3 deep, I don't think Blake's going to panic and back in that he's the best horse in the race, and he might still win, rather than concede, come back just to try and get some cover, and then all of a sudden he can't reel off 32 his last 600 and beat the leaders that have had a soft time.
It comes down to stable instructions and intent. We will talk about this so much throughout the episode. It's a Group 3 start of prep. You don't want to be 3 wide if they go quick and on a limb and do work and knock yourself out for second and third up when they're real aim. But Godolphin do sprint really well fresh. They're first up stable. He's also got Little Bros drawn inside. So whether they actually race right and he tries to keep Little Bros in the pocket potentially, it's going to be a really tactical affair. We haven't mentioned I'm Unstoppable. He's done nothing wrong either. Really nice horse. Good luck to a mate who's in the ownership of that. Great race. Cylinder on top, but can't bet.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's unless I'm on an out-and-out leader in a small tactical field, I tread carefully because you get 7 horses. You're right. Competitive riding can undo you. So we're all going Steve Smith, a little bit of shouldering arms for race number 8. Let's head to race 9 now. The Group 2 PB Lawrence Stakes, weight for age, 1,400 metres. The feature on the card, Mr. Brightside won it last year, going for back-to-back here. It was Sierra Sue in 2021 and Savatiano for Godolphin in 2020. The speed map, we got Buffalo River, who loves to bowl along in front, drawn 1, which suits him. Edison and Deny Knowledge, who's a dual acceptor, from out wide, along with Tuvalu, will be pushing forward as well. Tommy, is that how you sort of see the map unfolding?
Yeah, Denied Knowledge has gained a start now. Interesting to see whether it runs here or later in the day.
I hope they go to the next race.
So do I.
Benchmark 100.
So do I. Tuvalu, I think I've got leading from Buffalo River, who will hold up from that inside gate. Edison will get a nice run in the race. We've got Mr. Brightside, who actually draws a little bit awkwardly as well. Pounding, there's a few there in behind, but I've got Tuvalu winning it. Again, it's a race of intent. We do see these 1,400 metre races at the start of spring where you've got 2,000 metre horses and milers coming back returning that aren't necessarily there to win, like a Mr. Brightside. And then you've got Tuvalu who can jump on the bunny and be hard to run down at Caulfield.
This is a really interesting conundrum and something I've struggled with. So you've got Mr. Brightside, price is king, obviously, always, but $2 here, 1 from 5 first up, 2 from 7 at the 1,400, has drawn 10 in a field of 15. Certainly not here to break any records. You speak about bigger targets for horses through the spring. On face value, geez, $2 seems short. But I guess the conundrum for me is Tuvalu being the clear danger, however, is drawn sticky in gate 16, will have to do some work. I just think the rest of the field are going to have to find a few lengths to beat Mr. Brightside. So it's like, Mr. Brightside clearly rates clear for me, but I'm not convinced $2 is the price.
I'm with you. I actually like the barrier for Tuvalu because it forces their hand a little bit. They have to go forward, and that comes down to intent. They're not going to go back from the barrier, so they don't want to be caught down a limb first up either. So they'll go forward, set some tempo, and that gives Tuvalu a chance. I think probably the horse of key interest here is Attrition down the bottom. Very good in a Guinea's last start. Very good horse, huge X factor, has upside. As you said, other horses will have to improve 2 or 3 lengths, and they probably don't have that to get past Mr. Brightside. But then you've got Attrition who's on the way up and can do that. I've got Mr. Brightside on top. His trial was enormous. His jump out was outstanding. He looks here to win. He looks forward in what he's been doing. But it's such a big campaign. We're talking mid-August. We've got championship races the end of the spring at Flemington that he will want to be in.
$3 million race, so they need to be winning this one.
What do they do? Do they just have space his runs? Fascinating setup. I'm not keen to play either.
Yeah, look, I'm certainly staying out. I just found it really tricky. I thought the only horse, if we're going around horses that are first up and horses that are probably closest to being fitness and informed, I thought Pinstripe was a horse. He's probably not ever been labelled as this quality of horse, but he's drawn together a really good run. He's won 2 of his last 3, and winning was his trouble, but he's now strung 2 or 3 together. He's had a really good recent trial. But yeah, look, I don't really want to get involved at all. But I just thought if we're going with horses that are fitter and probably here more so to win than worry about what's going to happen in the next few months, he was probably the horse. I'm really interested on the map because Mike Maroney said that they've had a lot of trouble holding Buffalo River, and he's a horse that can really rock and roll. Barrier 1, I think they're either going to have to be super aggressive or Ollie's just going to have to strangle him and see what happens. So it's going to come down to the jump, and if you got Tuvalu coming across and you got Buffalo River kicking up, you got Pounding coming across, they could run along into this first corner up the hill at the 1400, and it might set up for something that is rock hard fit, like a pinstriped, and they might get their opportunity to win a good race.
I'd be staggered if they took a hold on Buffalo River now.
Yeah, I'm
Wet
just thinking.
track helps too,
I'm just
the
thinking the
rain.
only reason he probably doesn't find the top is if he's slow away. And I personally, from a train's point of view, I think 1 is just the worst
It's
barrier.
awful for
Worst
Buffalo
barrier.
River,
And
yeah.
it's a barrier that horses can just step slow and horses can get across you, but they'll have to be pretty aggressive on him.
Yeah. Oh, good point. So I think the biggest danger for Pinstriped is whether Ben Allen's home from the Racing Victoria Awards or not, to be fair. The guy's put on an absolute clinic with his bleached blonde hair. Let's head to race 10, boys. Benchmark 100, handicap over the mile. Speed looks moderate to me. The tempo's coming from Deny Knowledge. We spoke about dual nomination. Tommy mentioned has gained a start in the feature. Urban Oasis, Jimmy the Bear, who hasn't won since this day last year, and Sabak, they look the key speed influences, Tommy.
Yeah, spot on. I'll give Deny Knowledge a big chance here. We'll talk about intent. I think this horse is a really nice horse. He won a jump out really well at Cranbourne. Looks forward. He looks here to win. He has that. So I really like backing horses that are going to be on speed in these races because your back markers might be the classiest horses, but they're there to run well in future races, whereas your front runners, I wish I owned a 1400 metre Group 3 horse that was rock hard fit and had tactical speed, because I just enter these races, the Winx, like a Summer Doubt that came out and has run well in good races before. But Deny Knowledge looks that horse. I know it's not race fit, but trialled well, tactical speed, has intent, and going to be really hard to beat, and that's my play in the race. I can make a case with plenty of these. Smoking Romans gets a nice map. Better have a further, watch the market with that. My biggest tips to watch betting throughout the day, because you know which horses are parading well based on Betfair market. You'll know which horses are there to win. Last 4 or 5 minutes, the Betfair app now has got your market movers, so you can check that out as well. Fascinating race. I'll be backing Deny Knowledge. Hopefully runs here.
Yeah, look, I'm going to start with, again, this time of year I like horses that are fairly fit, haven't had a long time off. I think Right You Are is the horse. He gets a right claim with Matthew Cartwright, who's actually outridden his Metropolitan claim. I think this might be the last day he has it. So good booking there. He's won 10 races, this horse. Since joining Mar, he's just been an absolute winning machine.
Doesn't run a bad race.
Exactly. Winning form's good form. And at a price like that where he's going to get a good run from gate 6, and a lot of these are first up or second up and probably have better targets in mind, I think he's great value. And yeah, as you mentioned though, Tom, you want to see how the track's playing and whatnot later in the day, but I think he's a pretty safe bet, that horse, and I'm keen to play with him.
Yep, I'm actually siding with Deny Knowledge. I agree with you, Tommy. First up since April, was competitive in black type races from 1600 to 2200 metres. 2 jump outs in preparation for this, and the second jump out winning one over 1200 at Cranbourne. She led them up, went to the line really well. She goes well fresh too. So last preparation, first up over 1,500 metres at Geelong, ran the fastest last 200 of the race, taking ground off Savannah Cloud. If that's a mile race, you're in the winner's stall. 1,600 metres, no issue here. First up, barrier 4, maps be up on speed. 53 kilos, you speak about benchmark 100s and these compressed weight scales for these horses that have been running at these listed levels and can step up. I think, 53 kilos after the Heffel claim. I'm pretty keen on Deny Knowledge in race number 10 as well. Before we head to Royal Randwick, fellas, we've got a couple of new segments to go through on season 4 of LayBack. And we're going to start with What Caught My Eye. And we'll share this segment around, but Tommy, you're going to kick us off this week on episode 1. What has caught your eye over the break?
Plenty. Just this week.
Where do I start?
Where do I start? You all would have seen this. Mitch Beer's tweet about not getting let into Moonee Valley members with his jackets.
How could you not see it?
Well, that caught my eye.
It was a disgusting jacket.
Thank you. So no one. Did you?
He's
Did
a
you
great
respond
friend
to-
of mine, Beery, and I
He's a
said to
great
him, I was like,
friend.
come on, mate. And I sent him.
It's lucky he got let in the race course.
I sent him
Full stop.
I sent him a jacket. I sent him some merchandise from another show I do and said, hey, mate, this'll help you
This
out
will
next
sort
time
you
you're
out.
in Victoria. Just let me know.
They'll let you straight
So
in.
Yeah.
Are you on Mooney Valley's side or Mitch Beer's side?
He's put up a good argument.
Yes.
He certainly has, because he's gone down the rabbit hole of, do you want people at the races or not? So you can't argue.
He had
with
a good
that.
week.
You can't.
Good week to
You can't
have a
argue
swipe.
with that. And it was a bit of recency bias around the news. So he's nailed his audience, particularly on racing Twitter, because no one's jumping up and down
Which
to
he
back
always
up
does
racing
too.
Vic there.
Yeah.
So he's nailed his target audience. But there were a few quote tweet comebacks as well at Mitch.
Oh, I think Mooney Valley's got to be aware of the time of year. We're talking winter racing as well, but put on a jacket, Mitch. Come on, mate. What he should have done is look like this. And that's you dressed up in your tuxedo.
What a man.
Looking sharp.
What a
That
man.
caught my eye.
Yeah, well, it caught a lot of people's eye, I think. Should have seen me on the night signing autographs, mate.
Was that a higher tux, or is that from your year 10
Great
formal?
question.
No, I must admit, a little shout out to Men's Club. They
Here
sorted
he
me
is.
out. They
Nah,
sorted me out.
That'll do me.
Well, you asked the
Wow.
question. You asked the question, so I'm being
Men's
honest.
Club.
I must admit I didn't have one, and about 7 days out, I went and got sorted out, and boy, didn't I look good.
What,
Fair to say.
Surely
What
that's
a-
part of their boys' club range, at least. Can't be the top tier.
What award were you there to win?
Best
what
looking
you
bloke.
No.
I think I sorted that out pretty quick.
Um,
They all went home after I walked in.
Jeez.
I've had
You brought this upon
Now-
yourself, mate. I'll
now-
happily pump my own tyres up.
How about him? The other thing that caught my eye, Bella Anderson actually tweeted this. Gates opening before races half an hour before the first race. That's not on.
Yeah.
Sandown midweek.
But it's happening.
Is this happening?
Saturdays
Is this
as
Saturday's
well.
Caulfield,
Yep.
Flemington Valley?
Yep.
Okay. I can subscribe
I
to
don't.
that.
I don't love it.
The issue is, though, is if horses have to be there, well, in town, they've got to be there 2 hours before. Why are owners only given half an hour to see their horse before the first? And that's without the horse being saddled up and have to be in the mounting yard 15 minutes before. So I don't think that's on. Owners have to be looked after.
And bars don't open until midday.
What's the
So-
appropriate time? An hour?
Yeah, I think
an hour. But particularly if the races are quite early on a Saturday, they've brought
Yeah.
the times forward an hour
It's a
before the
staffing
first.
issue.
I'm
I
finding
assume.
this hard to believe that this is 30 minutes on a Saturday.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
the,
Yeah.
is that official? Or just
I'm-
going by what I saw.
I was
on
going by
social?
what you
It's
said.
official
Yeah.
here on LayBack. Anyway, we'll just make it. I love it.
I'm going by what I
you
read on
just-
socials. I haven't
that's
called the
perfect.
clubs, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. Just running with a headline. Good. Inaugural edition of What Caught My Eye.
Thank
was
you.
very
We're
good.
gonna be
Tommy.
hard to top that, aren't we?
It's very good. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Trainer of the Week is our other segment here, and Reece doesn't offer a lot in the LayBin and in the other segments, so we've actually had to create.
Give something
we've
for me.
actually had to create a segment around Reece
Make it pretty easy.
to try and give him some value on the show.
It's just
So
another photo of Reece in his tux.
yeah, Reece, Trainer of the Week. Take it away.
Look, it's been tough not to put myself in it, but no. Look, I'm going to start with just a little 58 training effort here, which I thought was quite good. Sunday started this week at Moe, last race of the day. A horse called Earl of Kendall, trained by Amy and Yashiagi, had 8 months away from the track. Its last run was a placing at the Yay Picnics. And they didn't have the horse. They've now got the horse. First up, 1,600 at Moe. I think it opened more than 21s and jumped about $9, and they were able to get the cash. And I thought that was a pretty good training effort. And I'll give myself a pat on the back. I had something on it too.
No wonder.
There you go.
That's why it caught my eye.
Well, he couldn't have been giving himself Trainer of the Week for having a second on the synthetic at Pakenham on Monday.
Oh, yeah, nice little swipe. I thought it was coming.
Nah, very good, mate. I like that. We will keep rolling this segment. So if you do have any Trainer of the Week suggestions, send them in.
Yeah, send them in. I'm happy to
Reece
hear
will
from
run
them.
his eye
I'll
over
sift
them. They
through
can
them.
be Australia-wide. They don't just have to be country
Oh, exactly.
Victoria.
Yeah, that's just what I've come up with.
Yeah. Boys, let's head to Royal Randwick now. We're going to preview some black type races there, headlined obviously by the Group 1 Winx Stakes. Before we do kick off into race 5, we'll take a look at the track. there was a bit of rain around earlier this week, Tommy. So it was a heavy 8 on Wednesday, and there's a few showers around. But I'm sure it's an improving track, and we're getting back to that good range.
Yeah, I think we've been on soft 5 around that. There's obviously still winter, cold weather, so won't improve much. We still get dews as well. Good day of racing. Look forward to getting stuck into it, and we kick off with the toy show county.
Just before we do, rails in the true position, pattern-wise, pay pretty fairly, we can imagine.
I think so. I think, again, wind is interesting and important, but I think the track will be pretty fair. Yep. Running line will be okay too. So it can be hard to lead at Randwick with the rail and true.
Yeah, I've been setting up for a couple just off the pace, given that. Race number 5, the Group 3 Show County Quality Handicap, 1,200 metres. Showmanship won this race last year from Prime Candidate and Rocketing By. It's an intriguing race to kick off. There's a few interesting storylines. So the race favourite, Extremely Lucky, first up here for Chris Waller after switching from the Clarkin stable in South Australia. Jamie Carr returns to the saddle, and she'll take the ride on Colino, who has the fitness edge on some of the other market dangers of Buenos Noches and Zoo Gotcha. Coming into a day like this, Tommy, quality gallopers first up in the market, I want to know what you look for in a trial. And is it just horses for courses when it comes to first up horses? But what are you looking for? Because we're going to look at a lot of first up horses over these next few races.
We probably haven't got enough time to go through it in detail. It's so much in terms of trials, patterns. Certain trainers who put their horses into trials. Some horses run back, horses running through the line, horses that are showing professionalism, improvement through preparations, especially from your 2-year-old and 3-year-olds. You've got so much to
historically
discuss
how
there.
they've trialled before.
That's a big one. Profiling,
Yeah.
actually doing the form for trials. We saw Alligator Blood come out and win a trial, and everyone was saying how good he trialled. But you go through the actual field, he
should have trialled well.
He beat stayers, and you'd expect him to be sharper than them, right? He's beaten 2,000 metre horses, Knight's Order and whatnot. He showed a good turn of foot, but he has a better turn of foot than them. So you have to factor that in as well. But fascinating time of year. Horses that are trialled averagely prior to running well, and then horses that have improved in their trials, stuff like that.
Also have to be,
so much.
I find, mindful. I don't know how the system is in New South Wales. Horses that don't trial without blinkers.
Yes,
and you know they're dead
massive.
set blinker horses on race day, so you can be misled there unless you look into it properly and see, oh, this horse didn't trial with blinkers on, and you just know he's a dead set blinker horse come race day.
If you see a Moanga scrubbed up without blinkers, for example,
It's going to happen every day of the week, isn't it?
you go, oh, Moanga didn't trial well, and then you look into the gear and he's not wearing blinkers or whatnot. So, yeah, go point.
Nah, great insight there, fellas. Speed map for this race, Tommy, we got Zoo Gotcha, Fender, Colino. They look the likely speed. Oh, Zoo Gotcha's been scratched, sorry.
Yep.
Fender and Colino look the likely speed influences.
Yeah, there's a few back markers here. There's not a lot of speed. A 1,200 metre race with no speed. You called it, Fender, as you said. Very tough race. I've got Extremely Lucky on top. He was the horse that everyone was complaining about last week when we thought he was going to run and didn't end up running. And I don't mind a slower tempo for Extremely Lucky. He got a brilliant turn of foot, trialled superbly under Chris Waller, new stable. He's got that turn of foot to overcome a slow tempo, and these slow tempos might make the best turn of foot win. We see it down the straight regular. I love backing horses that have got the best turn of foot in slowly run races. Buenos Noches right in the mix. So Extremely Lucky in Buenos Noches. Catalano's a chance. I'm not too keen in the race.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm extremely excited to see Extremely Lucky. I absolutely love this horse. Could not be any more happy with the way he's trialled. And as you mentioned, I actually don't mind if they go slow and he's off them because his turn of foot is absolutely lethal. I also love that McAvoy give him his last trial, and it might have been a bit of a plan for them to run here with 53, knowing that James can't ride the weight. And I think Waller's probably not known for winning with horses first up, but I think if this horse wants to be heading towards something like an Everest, he probably needs to put a star picket together, and winning on the weekend, I think it would be a great start. So I'm very keen on him, and I actually hope they don't go too quick because he is first up. I'd rather him only be 4 or 5 off them, smothered up, and then he'll absolutely have a massive turn of foot like he did in his two latest trials. So really keen on him.
That'd be really interesting if McAvoy, and this was the plan all along after it was accepted last week.
Because James was on 2, wasn't he?
2 last week, and they ended up winning the race with Alentia. That would be. If you're
Have I
calling
opened up a
that,
can
you've
of worms?
opened up a can of worms. There you go.
Can we cut that out?
No.
Well, I'm shouldering arms for this race, but I agree it's intriguing. Race number 6, the Group 3 Premiers Cup, 2,000 metres. Arapaho won the race last year from Francesco Guardi and Lord Ardmore. A bit more exposed form to look into when assessing this race, as you'd expect, being over 2,000 metres. Faulkner Park looks to deserve favouritism after not doing much wrong since debuting in Australia, let's be honest. King Frankel and Cleveland are intriguing runners on the second and third line of betting on the corporates at the moment, who are first up at 2,000. Speed map wise, Mark Schnell, Point Nepean, Hosier from prominent draws, King Frankel, Born a King. Be interesting to see how it pans out in the early stages. I have no opinion on this race. I won't be betting into it.
Don't read your comment in the run sheet about this race.
I was a little bit more firm than I articulated a little bit more diplomatically, didn't I? There.
Yes.
I'm shouldering arms. Cleveland's a key horse of interest. Obviously, he was very good last campaign, first up, and then started favourite at Sydney Cup and failed 2,000 metres, no trial. There's just too many question marks. Faulkner Park up and going well. Happy to watch.
Yeah, look, I'm really happy to watch too, and really intrigued with Cleveland to see what he does. Nico pulled our pants down that day in the Sydney Cup. We were both really keen on him, and I think you laid him that day, footy.
Yeah.
So I am really keen to see him back, but yeah, we won't be playing in this race.
Good stuff. Race number 7, the Group 3 Toy Show. It's quality handicap for fillies and mares over 1,100 metres. Lots of speed engaged here. How's the Serenity, Cinderella Days, North Star Lass, Winning Verse and Queen of the Ball will be prominent. Any of these catching your eye, Tommy?
The map's fascinating. So, as you said, you've got 5 natural leaders in the race. Then you've got Zoo Gotcha drawn 11, who does like to settle in the first 4. Parasol drawn 10, who does like to settle in the first 4. I don't know where these favourites map. You've got Queen of the Ball. So you've got Zoo Gotcha, Parasol, Queen of the Ball, the 3 market fancies all around that $4 mark or $3.50. And they all map awkwardly. Makes it a very hard race to dissect. I've got Zoo Gotcha on top, but I just don't know where she gets to. She's a class runner. She's got a big weight and conceding a lot of weight from an awkward draw. So I could even make a case for a horse like Petulant at 50s, 60s. In form, race fit, maps well, in behind the speed. I've had something on Petulant at a massive price, but there's just queries about the 3 favourites, and I don't like the race.
Yeah, no interest from me really, other than I'll just be cheering on Maliva, the Pakenham trained mare, and hope she runs well.
Not the worst.
No,
Brings
that's
race
right.
fitness.
It's probably that really early speed might suit her, and she might somehow slot in behind there. But no real interest from me.
Well, I'll step up with it and put a hamburger with a lot to here for us.
Bit of
the
Tommy,
second one,
bit of Tommy
the second
hamburger.
one of the show.
I love this.
I'm backing Parasol and lightly raced mare. I believe she can genuinely elevate to the next level this preparation. 2 forward trials indicate she's ready to rock and roll first up. You've got 6 career starts, 3 wins, 2 seconds, already winning at Group 3 level in the Typhoon Tracy. That was over 1,100. Zoo Gotcha, with just the 1 quiet trial, I think will get better as the prep goes. So, and gives, 5.5 kilos? Gives 5.5 kilos to Parasol. So I think Parasol head-to-head with Zoo Gotcha, if Jean-Claude Van Overmeer can get into a 3-wide running line and gain some cover, I think will be very hard to beat. So I'm going to be backing Parasol. And I'm going to lay Queen of the Ball. You mentioned, Tommy, there's those 3 runners around the same price. Now, she loves to lead, be up on speed, but she's yet to be able to win a race off a fast tempo, which I'm predicting here. We spoke about the map. I'd go as far to say she folds up like a deck chair when there is a fast tempo. So all the wins have come when she's been able to control from the top, dictate the tempo, then kick away. I think she's priced too short. She's probably priced off running next to Nature Strip in a trial.
Beating Nature Strip.
Yeah, beating Nature Strip in a trial.
That's fair.
She's just well under the odds, and I'll be laying Queen of the Ball. So
What do you make of, you said you better say backing Parasol as well. What do you make of John Van Overmeer riding? That's a unique...
It's a strange get-up. He does ride in the provincials a lot for Godolphin.
Yeah, this is a Group 3.
Yeah, no, I'm
It's
aware.
bizarre.
Yeah,
It would have to be partly the 53.
Yeah, I just thought it was odd,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
It's
I was
not a
thinking,
name
well,
you see.
where's McAvoy? But he's obviously riding Mark O'Connor's horse. So yeah, it is interesting. And surely there would have been some other light riders. They've got quite a few in Sydney, haven't they?
Oh, the horse, the Queen of the Ball, Rachel King, used to ride a bit for Godolphin.
Yep.
Just thought it was an interesting setup. Anyway,
Good pickup. We'll be on the Claude Van Dam anyway in race, what was that, number 7. Let's head to race 8 now, the feature for the weekend. The Group 1 Winx Stakes, weight for age, 1,400 metres. Last year, Animo, obviously the winner of the race, 2021 Moanga, and 2020 Very Elegant. This Group 1's quite extraordinary. So, from the fact that every single runner is first up here. The only exception would be Golden Mile.
Yeah,
Golden Mile. Duas has had somewhat of a freshen, I guess, who's recently run, but Golden Mile was in that Missile Stakes, and due to the unfortunate fall, you may as well just put a line through that and say he's first up again. So, top of the market, we have Zaki and Fangirl as the only runners in the single digits. We get out to Moanga, who's also first up, and Think It Over, who we haven't seen since the 2022 Queen Elizabeth win. How are you guys assessing this race and playing it? Do you have any strong opinions?
I do. So I'm actually keen on this race. Now, it's a great race. Shouldn't be a Group 1 though. It's another case where it's a lead-up race. I don't know why it's a Group 1.
Just a 2? Should just be a 2, you think?
Yeah, Group 2, lead-up race. I don't think lead-up races, it's a whole nother...
Probably shouldn't be worth $1 million, should it?
No, well, it's not much in Sydney.
Considering probably most of them aren't really here to win and
Well, that's...
got bigger
Waller's got
plans.
8 and none of them are here to win.
Have we asked him which one's winning? Or
Would you wear your Akubra to a race worth $1 million?
Absolutely. I'm wearing it to the Everest.
Just check. That's my check-in point.
Yeah, I'm wearing it to the Everest. You'll find me at the Yay picnics with it and the Everest one day.
I like it. Consistency is king.
So I was very keen throughout, since this horse is trialled and since Chris Waller's come out and talked about it on Lindemann in this race. Been pretty bullish of his chances. There was $6 pre-post and then Drew Barry 18 and goes out to 19s. Why would you ever bet early? That goes beside the point. But I actually like the barrier for him. I think it dictates their hand. I think they have to lead now. And I think Lindemann can win this race. All comes down to intent for me. And if Waller's there to win, and I'll keep intent's the word of the show, if Lindemann's there to win and McAvoy sees barrier 18, it comes into 16 after scratchings, if the emergencies don't start, he rolls forward, leads, I think he can win this race, and $19 was a stupid price. His trial was enormous, and he's a very good horse.
So is this a bet in play scenario, like in terms of Lindemann?
I'm happy to take the price, and you'll know within 100 metres if they're there to win. If it snags back to last, you're not going to win. But
I was thinking
I'm happy to take that price.
What about even like the 5 minutes leading up? Should there be some money for him?
There's already been a bit of money for him from that opening price.
The closer we get, he should probably keep coming in a little bit more, and then that would probably show there might be some intent, and he might be the one that actually is there to win.
Correct. Now, I haven't looked at the Racing New South Wales speed map either, so if they're going back and it's mapped on forward and Racing New South Wales, Chris Waller will have to come out and put in a change of...
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that as well. But I've taken the price based on the fact that I think they'll be rolling forward, and I think it'd be very, very hard to beat, and I think he was a silly price. Lindemann at $19. I think it's $16. You'll get around that price, Betfair. Zaki is the other horse that I'm keen to be on. His trials are okay without being brilliant, but he's got superb first up last campaign behind Gig, if you don't mind, and all-aged. Best is good enough to win. I'm laying Fangirl. She ran second in this race last year, which is no surprise because she loves running a place in behind Animo. Animo form's no good, is it?
Please.
No, I just want to see a win before I can step in as favourite in Group 1. First up. Needs it firm as well. Or better firm, but might not need it firm. But I just think she's a risk. Think It Over trialled really nicely, can win. Think It Over. He's a really good horse, been off the scene for some time, but I love this trial, so can make a case for him. But the best bet here is Lindemann.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to side with Think It Over because I don't think Kerry Parker would bring this horse to the races off such a long break if he wasn't somewhere near ready. He's got a brilliant first-up record. He's won 4 from 8 with 2 seconds. He loves a bit of sting out of the ground. His trial was brilliant. Nash obviously knows the horse is going well and knows the horse really well. Drawn to get what will probably be a pretty good run from 7. He's got Zaki outside him. He's probably going to have Zaki's back or somewhere near him. And I think at that price, an each-way price, I'd be shocked if he isn't at least in the top 4 because I think he's going well enough. And as I said, as an 8-year-old, I think Kerry would have him forward enough that it's not going to hurt him and he should be pretty fit for something like this.
I'm siding with Fangirl, and I understand your points around you want to see her win, but it's not like she's not chasing the line or shirking it when she was running into Animo. She's effectively become the happy clapper to animate, like to Winx, really, isn't it? Really, and this looks the best chance to add that second Group 1 to a name.
Yep.
And she goes super first up. So we saw that last year in the Winx Stakes. She stormed home for the second, ran the fastest last 400 of the meeting. Then first up in the Apollo Stakes, she ran the fastest last 200 of the meeting, darting back to the rail where arguably it was the inferior going. It's hard to fall in love with a pattern, and I don't love backing back markers or runners that get off midfield, particularly, at shorter prices. But she's second in the market here. She's a fresh bomb. Consistently runs big races off any tempo. She also gains the services. Keep jockey change here. She gains the services of James McDonald thanks to the Big A
That's huge.
departing, which is massive. And when you line them up, Fangirl next to Zaki, like he hasn't been cited since failing to finish off in a Doomben Cup, right? Zaki, 9 years old. You're taking, 450, lobbing favourite here in a Group 1 as a 9-year-old? I know you say he goes well fresh, but he's not getting any better. He's only regressing or holding. So I'm happy to risk Saki and take Fangirl.
You make a huge point about McAvoy off to McDonald. Now, McAvoy's 2 rides on this horse for 2 wins. So, and that's a long time ago, which is interesting.
Yep, excellent. Looking forward to it. We'll learn a lot either way, won't we?
That's right.
Race number 9 on the card is the Group 2 Silver Shadow Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies over 1,200. Zugotcha beat home In Secret and North Star Lass in this race last year. It's an open betting affair for us here to round out our preview round weekend. Looks a tough race, few nice fillies engaged. Taumina looks the likely leader from Barrier 2. Platinum Jubilee, Inhibitions, Amazonian Lass are all other speed influences. How are you seeing this one, mate?
Incredibly tough race, but that said, I'm keen to play in it. Big field, hard to be extremely confident with these fillies lining up against each other, but I'm going with a race fit horse in Estriella. I like this horse. Caballos knocked her off last start, but she's race fit. The stable have a huge opinion of her. Jamie Carr, good luck to her riding Estriella here. I think that's the right form, and I know Caballos got beaten last start, should have won, paraded awful, slowly away, got hampered at the start, should have framed that form, still probably should have won. I think Estriella can make amends from losing narrowly last start, and I think she's going to be hard to beat. I'm happy to be with her from a perfect barrier. The other one, Mumbai Muse. This is a stable that don't generally trial that well, but I love this trial. Beat home Mars Crusader in a trial. Williamsburg as well, who trialled quite nicely, but love the trial. I think she's a filly that probably didn't quite measure up to the A-grade stuff as a 2-year-old, but she looks to have improved, and I love that profile. She's a big price, drawn 1, which might not be the right spot. She might lead luck, but these younger horses, Barrier 1 is generally okay. I'm having something Mumbai Muse and Estriella.
Yeah, look, I'm not having a bet, but she is definitely the filly I want to follow, Mumbai Muse. Gate 1, she's probably going to get buried back, but her trial was very good. She was first run, she was behind Learning to Fly. Second run, she was behind Cylinder. Great form lines. And I'm just really intrigued that Brett Preble has ridden her both her runs, and he's sticking with her. He trialled with her. He knows a good horse when he sits on one, and not on the weekend for her, I don't think, but certainly want to follow her going forward.
Yep. I'm the same in terms of betting at the moment. I'm steering clear. Estriella's the one I want to follow. I loved her maiden win at Gosford in really good time. Tommy, we got absolutely cabalised last start, didn't we? And that was when the market was between Shaken and Estriella, and I think Shaken bled both nostrils and folded up.
I backed Shaken, saved Estriella, and Caballos knocked me off.
Yeah,
I backed Caballos best bet last week, and he finds so much great game.
I think the value in the race as well is Taumina, who's progressing nicely. 2 from 2, jump out between runs, makes her own luck. So they're the 2 I'll watch, but I just won't be betting just as yet. That rounds out our look at both Caulfield and Randwick for the show. We do have our great mate Jackson Oldham. He's back for Take On Me, and this is what he likes this week.
Take On Me is back for another season, and if I resume in any sort of form that I left it in the autumn, we will be laying horses that win all throughout the spring. So I'll be giving away plenty of cash on the exchange. Get involved. This week it's PB Lawrence Stakes Day at Caulfield, and I want to lay race 2, number 6, Be All Bay. The horse is ever consistent. Only missed a start once in its 12-start career. Flying with the new stable, 7 runs in for Shane Nichols. That's probably one of the concerns. This horse is now 8th up this preparation. All the form intertwines here between Hellhound, Starlight Scope, and even Morveda. Starlight Scope beat Be or Bay on its merits. Hellhound started shorter on that occasion. More Vader started shorter than Be or Bay at Caulfield when they all met 2 back. And those 3 horses are all double the price here. I want to take on that form regardless anyway. I thought Tangeed, but especially Life Lessons were the 2. I think Life Lessons could be a complete moral. So I want to lay race 2, number 6, Be or Bay. Best price around is $4.80. I'm going to put up $500 at $6 on the exchange to lose $2,500.
All right, good luck to those taking on Jackson this week in Take On Me. Boys, something we're going to do a little bit differently this season is we're going to just go through and stake our tips a little bit. So it'll give, I guess, the viewer and the listener a little bit of confidence in terms of what our confidence is for the weekend and what we like and where we're going to put our units. And Tommy, I'll throw to you and how you're going to play Saturday at both tracks.
Yeah, low confidence, so only staking 5.25 units on the day, if my maths is correct. We'll start off with race 7, Charmstone, 1 unit win, pretty bullish. She'll be hard to beat. Pretty keen each way, half a unit to win and 1 unit to place on Denied Knowledge. Race 10, number 14 there at Caulfield. Then we move on to the 2 that we just touched on at Randwick. Keen Lindemann, half a unit win, 1 unit place at about that $19. I think it's a really good bet there. Lindemann saving or having something Zaki as well. So got 1 unit there as Zaki. And race 9, Estriella, 1 unit win and Mumbai Muse, 0.25 units win and 0.5 units to place there on Mumbai Muse. No lay bets for me. I think it's a really hard day and confidence is pretty low. Reece, you want to kick it away?
Yeah, look, I'm similar to you. Only betting this weekend. No lay bets from me. We're going to start at Caulfield, race 6, Thunder Beauty, 0.5 to win, 0.5 to place. We roll into the next race, Axelina, 0.25 to win, 0.75 to place. Into She Light, 0.25 units to win, 0.75 to place. We go to the last at Caulfield, race 10. Right you are, 1 unit to win, 1 unit to place, and there's another roughie in there, Macram, 0.25 to win, 0.75 to place. And we roll over to Sydney, just the 2 there, extremely lucky, 1 unit to win, and then we go into the big one, the Group 1, think it over, 0.5 units to win and 0.5 units to place.
Excellent. Now, when I started on this show, I had to have lay bets, and now I'm the only one going hamburgers with a lot here. This is extraordinary.
We're going to have a hamburger award. So if anyone gets a hamburger, I'm going to buy a toy hamburger and we'll pass it around.
Yeah. Cool. Way I'm playing this weekend, Caulfield race 6, Bandersnatch, 1 unit to win. I'm laying number 7, Detonator Jack, 0.5 units, liability up to 2.7 units based off 650. I'm going to back number 7, Show Royale in race 7, 0.25 units to win, 0.75 units to place. Then we head to race number 10. I'm going to have number 14, Denied Knowledge, 0.75 units to win. Up in Sydney, race number 7, I like Parasail, number 7, 1.25 units to win. Laying number 8, Queen of the Ball, 1 unit at $4. Liability there, 3 units. And then Randwick, race 8, number 13, Fangirl. I'm going to have 1 unit to win. That's how I'm playing this weekend, fellas. That's how you're playing this weekend. All the best. Got a few runners this weekend, Reece?
No, just 1 in Adelaide. That's your territory. You don't mind doing a bit of Adelaide form.
Yes, I haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, no, the old boy, the good fight goes around in the first there in a very thin staying race, but he needs it thin because he's been battling. But there's been some rain over there, and that's what he's crying out for. So he's the only runner for the weekend, so God bless him.
All the best. And Tommy, all the best to you over the weekend as well. We got in any corporate boxes or anything, no doubt? Behind the glass.
Just off to Europe on Saturday, so.
There it is.
Yeah, that'll be first class.
No
doubts about that.
It's a bit of a bomb to break at the end of the show. I guess we won't see you next week, but I will. Thanks for tuning in for episode 1 of season 4 of LayBack with Betfair. We'll be back next week with plenty more.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.